Hey, 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 what is going on? Welcome to Unpopular Opinion with Shafi and Pals. This episode is titled Opinion versus Morality Part 3. As you can see, I do not have a pal today. It's just Shafi. My pal is my pet bunny named Dustin. He's in the other room and he's like, "Uh-oh, Shafi's got his constitution out again. He's been reading his Uniform Code of Military Justice handbook. He's been sifting through the Constitution. Sounds like he's gonna do another opinion versus morality episode. And we're gonna do it. But before we dive into the deep end, I gotta give a huge shout out and a quick update on my life, specifically about something that is pure pride for me. As as many of you know, I graduated from Mount Homa High School and the T-Birds are absolutely soaring. They've been on a tear, crushing it through the state high school football playoffs, including a massive win against their rivals, Lincoln High School. Final score last week was 42-14. Holy cow! Back-to-back weeks with 42 points, and to beat Lincoln at home, us at home, was just amazing. Hats off to Mount Homa. I tried so hard here. I got the this is when you show up for those of you listening on the Spotify, you go to the game and you get the program and it tells you about all the students and the coaching staff and etc. And I got it a couple games ago. I tried to make it to the game. As many of you know, I have a second job to provide for my family, and I just wasn't able to get out of work in time to make the game. And luckily, I have an old friend named Sweat that sends me pictures of the scoreboard every quarter. And when we score, he keeps me in the action. So we appreciate that at Shafi and Pals. Sweat, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you. I love you, man. I couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. We are keeping the momentum going. Their next game is a big one. Clearly, every playoff game is. And you can catch them this Saturday at 1 p.m. versus Eastside Catholic out of Sammamish. So, where's this game going to be at? Of course, it's going to be at George Norty Field, right there at Mount Tahoma High School. If you're in the area, come out and support these student athletes. It's been an incredible season. It's just been such a treat to watch the T-Birds. I can't wait to see you there. I really still bummed that I missed the Lincoln game. But life gets in the way of fun sometimes. We got to do what we got to do to provide for our families and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, sorry I missed Chris Ortiz. I heard he was in town for the game. Shout out Chris. But all right, let's get this party started. Hey, I revamped the theme song. And instead of playing it on my old piano, I plugged in a keyboard to the computer and I had a request for more. We need more chipmunk on the theme song. So I'm going to play the new theme song. See if you like it. It's a little bit cleaner, a little bit more auto tune, and it's got a little bit more chipmunk. So let's get this party started. Unpopular opinion.
Unpopular opinion, that's the name of the show. Hosted by Shafi and some pals that he knows. We'll have a heart to heart, so tune in and subscribe. It's unpopular opinion and a hell of a vibe. Love it or dislike it, it's all just the same, because unpopular opinion is there in the name.
I think it's a hit. I think it's a hit. It just sounds a little bit more clean. New theme song with the same old catchy tune, just cleaned it up a little bit. So, welcome back. Hey, we got a new listener update. As many of you know, the primary listeners are across the US. I'm always making fun of my friends who are listening in Montana. I always say, hi, we're in Montana. Boring. I got a great listener over in Arkansas. And as many of you know, I picked up an Australian listener, and I still have no clue who this person is. But over the past week, Spotify has let me know, hey, guess what? You've also have a new listener in Morocco. So we're going global, baby. And I got to be honest with you, this is like way bigger than I ever thought and could have ever imagined. So hats off to you, the listener. I just really appreciate it. I thought I was going to do a podcast and like maybe 10 people, maybe 20 people would listen to it. I had no clue that Spotify, we hit the 350 listener mark. I got listeners in Australia and Morocco, all across the US. There's hundreds of views on the YouTubes. Um, Donnie's episode, part 2 of the Seattle Mariners, has taken the lead. He's got over 100 and something views just on that YouTube alone. So, gosh, just thank you for all my pals. Thank you for my friends and family who are listening. And thanks, of course, for all the listeners that just like to hear it on popular opinion and kill an hour of their day. So, hats off to you. I appreciate you. I love you. And this is for you. So, I'm ready to take some heat. We're going to get into this unpopular opinion. It's a heavy one. Clearly, if the episode is called Opinion versus Morality, and we're on our third part of this, it's going to get kind of deep. And I want to jump into it. Here it is. My unpopular opinion this week is if you tell someone that they are wrong for telling people not to break the law, you are probably breaking the law. Unpopular opinion. If you tell someone that they are wrong for telling people not to break the law, you are probably breaking the law. Now, the context for this is crystal clear and incredibly concerning. We are here at the Unpopular Opinion with Shafi and Pals referring to the President of the United States posting on social media that people who spoke out about disobeying unlawful orders should potentially face the death penalty. That's a direct threat and a chilling suggestion that fundamental checks and balances on power and the protection of whistleblowers should be violently suppressed. And I want to unpack this. So I came up with a few talking points, and a lot of this is going to reference the part 1 of opinion versus morality. But the first talking point is the principle of disobeying unlawful orders. This isn't some fringe concept. Aforementioned, it's a cornerstone of military and law enforcement ethics. The Uniform Code of Military Justice, the UCMJ, specifically Article 90 and 92, demands that service members only obey lawful orders. In order to commit a crime, a war crime, or an unconstitutional act must be refused. That refusal is not treason. It is a duty. When the president threatens people for highlighting this duty, he's attacking the very rule of law he swore to uphold. Very contradictory, right? What a hypocrite. They're wrong for saying, don't break the laws that we swore an oath to uphold. And that's a key talking point. The principle of disobeying unlawful orders. And it deserves a deeper dive because it's foundational to maintaining a professional, ethical, and legal military force. So here's an elaboration on that first talking point. We're going to focus on the legal and historical context of the duty to disobey. Going back to the Uniform Code of Military Justice, UCMJ, the principle is enshrined in U.S. law, specifically within the U.S. UCMJ. This code governs the conduct of all U.S. military personnel. We're going to talk. So, Article 90. I've just kind of mentioned the article. I never said actually what it says. So, it's assaulting or willfully disobeying superior commissioned officers. This article details the punishment for disobeying a superior commissioned officer, but the order must be lawful. Article 92. failure to obey order or regulation. This article punishes personnel for failing to obey any lawful general order or regulation. The critical word in both of these articles is lawful. If an order is unlawful, the duty to obey is removed, and a new duty, the duty to disobey, is activated. A service member can face severe punishment, including court martial, for obeying an order they knew or should have known was unlawful. So, what's the question, Shafi? What constitutes an unlawful order? And I'm going to read some of these. And there's going to be a few times where some people are going to be triggered and they're going to be like, holy crap, this is happening right now. So, an order is unlawful if it mandates the commission of a crime, violates the Constitution, or is clearly contrary to military or international law. Examples include orders to commit a war crime. So, like targeting civilians, or how about mistreating prisoners? That's a crime of war. If the order is to violate the constitutional rights of service members or civilians, if the order is to commit a felony like murder, theft, or assault, what about if the order is to carry out a military action that is clearly outside the scope of the commander's authority? I'm sure some of these are sounding pretty dang familiar because it's happening right now. Every single one of those bullet points in the world, in the United States, it's happening. So, soldiers and government officials and et cetera, anybody that follows an unlawful order, you're going to start hearing a lot more about the Nuremberg defense and its historical precedent. This principle is not abstract. It was cemented in global jurisprudence after World War II. So the Nuremberg trials from 1945 to 1946. So I'm going to kind of give you a brief explanation of what this was. So after the war, German military officers and officials were prosecuted for atrocities. A common defense was that they were just following orders. The tribunal rejected this defense, establishing the legal precedent that individuals are responsible for their own actions, even when acting under the command of a superior. So, this is often called the Nuremberg Principle. There's another example of this on kind of the flip side of the coin, right? Jumping into the duty to disobey. And forgive me if I pronounce some of this incorrectly. The My Lai massacre of the Vietnam War. So the tragic events at My Lai in 1968 further reinforced this. So Lieutenant William Calley was convicted for his role in the massacre, illustrating that the chain of command does not provide a shield against responsibility for criminal acts. The service member who initially reported the massacre and helped save civilians was Hugh Thomas Jr. He acted on his duty to disobey and earned recognition for his moral courage. Was given an order that he knew morally and physically was unlawful. And so he acted on his duty to disobey and disobeyed an unlawful order and was awarded not just for his recognition, but moral courage, right? And I guess the conclusion of this talking point is therefore, as I proclaim, the person who spoke out about refusing unlawful orders, and it was these people, right? One of them, a senator out of Arizona that was also, a 25-year Navy veteran with medals of honor and distinguish and valor. And he was also a member of NASA. The guy went to space, the American flag on his arm. And so he wasn't speaking out, trying to suggest chaos, saying refuse unlawful orders. I'm suggesting chaos. No, he was advocating, and it was like 9 of them, and they were all veterans or they had all, worked in the CIA or etc. So they were simply advocating for compliance with the UCMJ and the ethical standards required for all military personnel. The president's suggestion that this advocacy should be met with the death penalty is not just an unpopular opinion, it's a direct and hostile challenge to the rule of law and the fundamental ethical obligations of the American military. Ah, my second talking point, the definition of a threat and free speech. We live in a country where the First Amendment protects even unpopular opinions. But when the person holding the highest office suggests a capital punishment consequence for people who simply advocate for legal compliance, like refusing unlawful orders, that crosses the line from political speech to an implied threat against specific individuals or a class of people. The pushback against this idea isn't anti-authority, it's pro-constitution. So to call somebody wrong for saying don't break the law fundamentally means you are advocating for law breaking. And let's be frank, this threat doesn't exist in a vacuum. It follows a pattern of executive actions that have been faced with major legal challenges for allegedly violating the Constitution and bypassing Congress. We've seen it all fucking year long. The idea of punishing people for upholding the law becomes even more alarming when you consider the president's track record this year, which includes actions such as targeting private citizens and companies, been issuing these executive orders or using federal agencies to revoke security clearances, terminate contracts, ban law firms from federal buildings because they represent your political opponents or hold specific viewpoints. This is an action a federal judge has ruled violates the First and Fifth Amendments, and this is happening. Oh, challenging birthright citizenship. Right. Issuing an executive order to revoke the 14th Amendment, birthright citizenship for children of undocumented immigrants, which has been challenged as blatantly unconstitutional. What else? Invoking the Alien Enemies Act, using a century old, rarely used wartime statute to authorize the swift and forced transfer and deportation of immigrants without typical due process or judicial review. Holy cow, I talked a lot about that on part 1 of Opinion versus Morality. Ooh, what about the recent one? This is crazy. Impound of congressional approved funds. The impoundment of congressionally approved funds, attempting to unilaterally freeze or stop the release of federal funds that Congress has already approved for various programs and grants. Oh my gosh, that one really upsets me because we saw this recently, right, with the SNAP. And then earlier this year, and you don't know this, but one of my clients, and I'm not going to name their business name, but they are basically an old folks home, and they were granted, they were going to expand and make this amazing memory care wing for folks dealing with Alzheimer's. And they were going to get like 12 rooms of for patients that are dealing with that, and they were going to be able to bring on the staff and to support these people and help them, and their federal grant was revoked that was previously approved. and they took it away. And now this company, this healthcare provider, can't provide healthcare. This shit's happening in real time. How about dismantling federal departments? Issuing executive orders to begin the dissolution of cabinet level departments like the Department of Education, a move that critics argue is a clear separation of powers violation, as only Congress has the power to establish and dismantle such departments. So, when you advocate for obedience to unlawful orders while simultaneously carrying out actions that judges are striking down as unconstitutional, the hypocrisy and the danger is impossible to ignore. So, wake the fuck up, because this is happening. Talking point 3, setting a dangerous precedent. The idea that we should execute people for advising others to follow the law is a dangerous sign of authoritarian thinking. What starts with a social media post ends up eroding the ability of civil servants, military members, and even citizens to speak truth to power. If we allow the highest office to criminalize the advocacy of legal and ethical conduct, we have paved the way for any future administration to silence dissent completely. The opinion here isn't just unpopular, it's a critical defense of the system. So, back to part 1 of opinion versus morality, the episode I did. If you support these types of lunacies, as I call them, I think you're a piece of shit and I do not want to be your friend. And these are just a few. How can you respect this? You are morally corrupt if you support this. And luckily, we're seeing more and more people turn away recently. People are starting to wake up, and that's important. Unfortunately, it's going to be so tough to get things back on track, and I am worried about the future. So, okay, so let's slow down for a moment. This is the heart to heart segment. And this week, I'm speaking specifically as a veteran. To my fellow service members, past, present, and future, I want you to hear this loud and clear. Your oath is to the Constitution, not to any single person or politician. We are trained to understand the difference between an unlawful order and a lawful order. We are trained to uphold the Geneva Conventions, the UCMJ, and the laws of this land. When you see something wrong, when you are asked to do something that violates your moral compass or the law, your duty is to refuse. We serve the ideas and ideals of the Republic. The moment we forget that and pledge blind allegiance to an individual, we stop being the defenders of democracy and we start becoming the tools of tyranny. Let that sink in. We join so we can serve. And when we go against and become morally corrupt, and we pledge this blind allegiance to a person, again, we stop being the defenders of democracy and we start becoming the tools of tyranny. So stand tall, speak up, and never let anyone, no matter their title, shame you for being a law abiding, ethical protector of this country. Your honor is your own. Keep it clean. Man, I'm sure you can hear some frustration in my voice because this is a crazy time, an unprecedented time that we are living in. And when I tell you that I'm worried about the future, I'm thinking about my kids and I'm thinking about your kids and you. And I'm thinking about the life that we are setting them up for. And it's not looking good as of right now. It's not. But switching gears from the serious to the seriously ridiculous. And speaking of keeping it clean, your honor is your own. Keep it clean. Picture this. You're out in public. You took a risk. The risk didn't pay off. You're a loose cannon rookie. You're a good cop, but you're making questionable choices. You've unfortunately had a very sad and scary sharding incident, or what we cleverly call in the industry a code brown. Panic sets in. That's where this kit comes in. That's right, folks. It's the Shart Survival Kit from Witty Yeti. It's a small, stylish, discreet tin, fits perfectly into any fanny pack. And inside, you ask? It's their patented Brown Town tissue pack, clean booty wipes, an instructional care card that gives you the instructions and tools to finish your day, a Shart survival badge, and the pièce de résistance, an individually wrapped pair of oopsie poopsie disposable undies. It's for emergency cover, not fashion, for when the gamble didn't pay off. It's also the perfect gag gift for anybody with a sense of humor and a questionable diet. Fart with confidence and be ready anytime for that chocolate mudslide. Whether you're playing basketball, stuck in traffic, on jury duty, or giving birth to your first child, the Shart Survival Kit from Witty Yeti will have your back. Literally. 100% money back guarantee. If you're not satisfied with their level of poop protection, just pinch off an email to support@witty.yeti.com and they will make it right. Hey, hey, hey. That's our product of the week. I have a story, and I don't know if I should say it, but if anybody has ever wondered in the year 2012 why I left Wyatt McClinton's wedding. Why I left Wyatt and Nikki's wedding reception a little early. Let's just say I wish that I had one of these survival kits. Just going to tell you that day is the reason why if I ever send my buddy Wade, shout out to Wade, love you, buddy. If I ever send him 3 poop emojis in a text message, he has to drop whatever he's doing and bring me a fresh pair of pants. That's a true story. That is a very true story. I'm glad I didn't go into too much detail on that. This is a real kit. I actually did buy this, as you can see on the YouTube. I'm holding it up to the camera. For the people at home, I will break it down. It's a tin that has all of this stuff inside of it. It literally does. It has the badge. It has the card. The card is the funniest thing in the world. When you read the card, it's like, okay, well, guess what? You sharded. What do you do next? Now what? And it gives you these step instructions to using the kit. The badge is a I survived a shard attack pin. And this is just like the funniest thing in the world. I'm going to have this set up here in the shoffice and people are going to see it and they're going to be like, oh my God, that's the product of the week. So I appreciate you laughing. I did get that on TikTok shop for $10 plus shipping, plus free shipping. And that's what we got for the product of the week. We're almost out of time here. Shorter episode this week. I don't have a pal to bump all these ideas off. I'm just so glad that you're listening. Make sure that you stick around after the theme song, and then that way you can hear the People Are Talking segment, talking about people. Again, look, if you find that disobeying laws is the right thing to do, you're wrong. We have these laws in place for a reason, so we can be a civil society, so we can be this republic, these people's republic, this democracy of people, right? So we can live in this world together and take care of each other. But when we have people that turn a blind eye to it, I just cannot get behind it. I can't. So I hope that something I said helped you wake up. I hope that you agree with me. I hope that I have earned some fans. And if you don't agree with the unpopular opinion and you have a morality issue, then okay, bye bye. Please remove me from your contact list. Take me off of your friends list. I don't want to snap you. I don't want to chat you. I don't want to IG. I don't want to tweet. I don't want to X. I don't want to Facebook. I don't want to anything with you. I don't want to tick the talk. None of it. I want you to go do that bad stuff away from me and my family. And we're going to try to live a peaceful, nice life where we obey the laws of the land and have really good, solid morals. That's all the time for now. Let's hit that music one more time.
Unpopular opinion, that's the name of the show. Hosted by Shafi and some pals that he knows. We'll have a heart to heart, so tune in and subscribe. It's unpopular opinion and a hell of a vibe. Love it or dislike it, it's all just the same, because unpopular opinion is there in the name.
People are talking. And speaking of people who advocate for law breaking, I once got a speeding ticket in December of 2007. And I want to tell you a story about that. Because in 2007, this was December of 2007, my friend Sabrina Robbins, rest in peace, Sabrina. Unfortunately, she passed away a couple of years after this. But she called me up. It was bright and early on that winter morning. Nice, brisk, cold December morning in Tacoma. The roads were a little wet. They weren't frozen. And she called me up at the break of day and said, Michael, I need some help. My van won't start and I'm going to be late for work. And Sabrina lived in Parkland and she worked in Fife. And I said, no worries. A few months ago, I bought a 1996 Chevy Beretta Z26. Sorry, it was a 1994 Chevy Beretta Z26. And that bad boy likes to go 100 miles an hour everywhere, and I will get you to work on time. Sabrina wasn't necessarily fond of going fast in cars. Rightfully so. I'm not particularly fond of it nowadays either. At that time, I was advocating for myself for breaking the law, and my reasoning was we got to get Sabrina to work on time. So we are flying down the freeway, and it looks like I'm probably going to get her to work on time. And she goes, oh my gosh, there was a cop. There's a cop. And I go, okay, well, I'm going pretty darn quick. Is he coming after us? She goes, yeah, he pulled out. And I go, okay. And I put on my blinker and I start to get over. And it's right there at the turn heading from South Tacoma, heading towards Fife on I-5 before you get to the Tacoma Dome. And I just start getting over, and the state patrolman comes up behind me. He pulls me over. He comes up to the car and he goes, "Hey, going pretty fast back there, huh?" And I said, "Yep." And he goes, "Oh, you must have been doing what, 70 or 80?" And I said, "No, sir, I was not. I think when I passed you, I was probably doing about 90 to 100. Where's that button? I said that. I said that to him. "No, sir. I think when I passed you, I was doing about 90 to 100. He goes, "You were right. You were doing 93 miles an hour. And if you would have lied to me, I would have had this nice, pretty looking Beretta up on a tow truck." I knew it. They're looking for you to lie to them. Don't lie to them. Just be honest. So the normal stuff, license, registration, proof of insurance. I hand all the paperwork over. He looks at Sabrina. He sees that she's wearing her BJ's Bingo apron, and he goes, "Let me guess, you're late for work, and he's getting you there on time." And she said, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "Okay." He comes back. He runs it. Of course, Shafi's got a clean record, and he comes back and he goes, "Hey, look, I really appreciate your honesty. I understand that sometimes we want to drive kind of fast to try to get there, but the reality is that I can't have you out on my roads like this, man. I don't want to be peeling you off." He gave me a scare story, and I get it. 100% right. He was 100% right. I was 100% wrong. But it also, the moral of the story is, if you're in a predicament like that, just be honest. He wrote me up for doing 10 over. It was a small ticket, and we were on our way. And when we got to work, or got Sabrina to work, she was just a few minutes late, and everything was a-okay. But I tell you this story because me driving somebody to work and going a little fast is wrong. And I shouldn't have done it. And I miss Sabrina a lot. She was a really good friend for a really long time. And I guess I advocated to break the law that day. And for that, I should have been punished. And I was. And the officer made his decision on the punishment. And I accepted the punishment, and I paid the ticket, no questions asked, because I was wrong. When you have somebody in a situation that is doing something wrong and they are not willing to admit it, their moral compass is off and they can go fuck. That's all I got for you. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Shafi out.